Are you ready to ditch the winter drab? I know I am. Let's do a spring minimal makeup refresh. Light, timeless, and super easy so we can get out there and enjoy the amazing spring weather that's on the way. So, funny story, this isn't the first time I have sat down to film this video. I completely botched it the first go around, and if you want to hear that whole story, then stick around to the end, because right now we're getting into the makeup. I really want the skin to be the star of this look, and so I want it to be light and fresh and a little bit glowy. To that end, I'm going to use a hydrating primer. Normally I stay away from these. I do have mature combo skin. I lean oily through the T-zone, and so usually I stay away from anything glowy or hydrating, but today I'm just going to lean into the glow. And so the Ciate London Watermelon Hydrating Primer is perfect for this, and it smells so good, just like watermelon. I, of course, prepped my skin before this with my skincare and SPF. When you're going for a lighter coverage look, skin prep is even more important. I don't want to go completely foundation free because I do have some red spots and some sunspots and that sort of thing. So I do want to even the coverage, but I don't want to completely just mask my skin. I'm also going to use my Wet n Wild Hydra Depuffer under my eyes, and it won't screw up any more than that, so I kind of have to use my fingernail to get just a tiny little bit out and then warm it up between my fingers. It causes it to just kind of melt. And I just really love the hydration that this gives this thinner, drier under eye skin. But it doesn't give too much hydration so that my concealer wants to crease. I am going to be using the Maybelline 24-Hour Skin Tint. I love this skin tint. I bought it in February last year, so I've had it just over a year and it's almost gone. And if you saw my foundation and concealer declutter, you know that I have a lot of foundations. So the fact that I've almost used one up in a year says a lot about how much this one gets in the rotation. Normally it doesn't squeeze up a full dropper, but I think this time it did because I have way too much on my palette. I will never use all of this. So I'm just going to dab it around on my face, and then using my dampened beauty sponge, blend that in. If you want a little more coverage, just use a brush. It'll give you a little more coverage than the sponge will, and then you can follow up blending with the sponge. There's a lot on my palette, but I'm just really wanting a lighter coverage today. So I may go in and build some of the areas that have a little bit more to cover without putting like 2 coats on my whole face. This foundation gives a really nice skin finish, but it also has good lasting power. And I think you can see it gives a little bit of a glow as well. And I am going to take just a tiny little bit more right through here where I had that redness. On this side, it's down a little bit lower. And I want to make sure that I really press it in around my nose. In fact, I have a little bit more redness on my nose, so just a tiny little bit more. And then right here on my eyebrow, I don't know why I have that red spot in my eyebrow, but it always makes it look weird when I put my eyebrow pencil on, so I like to cover it. And then, like I said, I didn't use hardly any of what I put on there. I kind of wish there was a way I could put the genie back in the bottle, but it's okay. And I know for some of you, you're probably sitting there thinking, minimal? That wasn't minimal. She put foundation all over her face. Okay, some of you might just like to use a little spot concealing of concealer, and that's perfectly fine too. For my concealer, I'm going to use the Flower Beauty Light Illusion Concealer. I like this because it's a really light finish, but it does give good coverage for these dark circles that I have under my eyes. So I'm going to put 1 dot right there, and then on both outer corners, because as my hooded eyes become more hooded, it creates a shadow over there that can make it look dark, even though I don't really have like dark skin tone there. And I'm going to start blending and bring it down. I have discovered that I tend to end up with too much concealer in the corner of my eye, so I've been putting it down a little bit further rather than placing it right up there. and starting the blend going down using most of that dot of concealer and then going up into the inner corner, and it's been looking better. It's less product, so therefore it's less cakey looking and less likely to settle in those little wrinkles in the corner. And using your finger helps warm up the concealer and helps it blend into your skin. Sometimes I start with a brush, move to my finger. Sometimes I start with my finger, then use a brush, but I always use my finger in there somewhere. I'm going to use the sponge and blend the foundation and the concealer together on that edge. I don't actually want to use the sponge all the way under my eye because I don't want to remove that much coverage. The damp sponge and the tacky concealer will remove too much coverage. So I go in with a little brush, 10x mirror, and I just check and see. And what this does is these bristles kind of get down into those wrinkles a little bit, and any excess product that's sitting down in them, it'll remove it without taking it off of the skin around the wrinkles. And then if I notice in my 10x mirror that I still have some like pores showing on my nose, I can use that brush to kind of pounce the foundation in a little better there. And for now, that's all I'm doing to the skin, except I am going to set my concealer. And I'm going to use my Moira Set and Correct powder in the shade 200 and just one final tap to make sure that I'm not setting any creases in. And that's all I'm doing there. I will use a finishing powder at the end because, as I said, I have combo oily skin, and especially with temperatures warming up, if I don't set my face, I end up just a shiny grease pit and my makeup slides off my face. If you have drier skin and you don't need to set, that's perfectly fine. But for us oilier girls, usually powder, especially in the spring and summer, is a necessity, even for a minimal makeup look. I'm going to do my brows, and I'm going to use the Wet n Wild Brow Sessive pencil. I just sharpened it so that I could get a little more precise in the front and the tail of my brows where I am missing brow hairs. I think we probably all kind of have our brow routine down. For this one, because it's a minimal look, I'm just going to do the pencil. Usually I will use a brow gel as well, but I can get by without one because my brows, first of all, are really sparse and they're not terribly unruly. If you have more brow hair or unruly brow hair and you need to set them, by all means, do so. A quick little brush through just to blend. And that's all I'm doing for my brows. I'm going to use the Colourpop Wild Nothing palette. I love this palette. I think it is so pretty and it just screams spring to me. These soft peachy corals are just so pretty. I'm going to go super easy, and I'm probably going to only be using 2, maybe 3 shades. The first one I'm going to be using is this one up here called Crystal Cove. I'm just going to use that to even out the skin tone on my eyelids. It does have a little bit of micro glitter in it, but when you blend that out, most of that kind of goes away. It just gives a healthy little sheen, but it doesn't look like glitter or sparkle. Then I'm going to pick up this peach right here called Morningside on a Morphe 518. And if it looks like there's more on this brush than you might think, that's because I already used this when I filmed it the first time that I botched it. And I figure, since I'm using the same shade, might as well use the same brush. I am putting this in the crease and above in the transition area. And then I'm also going to come and put it on the eyelid itself, most of it, from the middle to the outside. Just giving a wash of color pretty much all over the lid and up into the transition area, avoiding this inner part right there. I'm going to brighten that up in just a little bit. I'm now going to go back into Crystal Cove, but I'm using a flat shader brush to pick up some of that just on one flat side. And I'm going back in to that inner corner and putting this down just to really brighten up, just to open them up and make them look wide awake. This is going to be an all matte look, by the way. I don't very often do all matte looks, but for a minimal look, all matte just really works. I think it might help the look a little bit if I just pinch this brush and bring a little of that peach to the lower lash line. And by help it, I mean I think it just makes it a little more cohesive. Before I do liner and lashes, we're going to put on a little blush, and I'm using the Milani Luminoso. I really want this fresh peachy shade and a little bit of glow without having to reach for a highlighter. And this shade gives me all of that. So I will put this on, starting a little bit further in the front of my cheeks and then bringing it up towards my hairline. I think adding it in the fronts of the cheeks on the apples kind of helps give that sun-kissed glow. It's been a beautiful day. I went outside and got just kissed by the sun on my cheeks. You can even go a little over the bridge of your nose if you feel like it. And then because I don't want any harsh lines, I'm going to take that sponge that I used for my foundation and just blend the edges. I am going to put a brown in the waterline and then put on mascara. The liner is dark brown from Moira, their eye exposure pencil. And even for the most minimal days that I do, eyeliner, mascara, blush, and lipstick are absolute non-negotiables. So you might think eyeliner is an extra step, but for me, it's a completely necessary step. I'm not going to put it on the lower lash line, however. I want to keep that just really clean and fresh. Before I put on my mascara, as I said, I am going to powder. I do need to set, especially the T-zone. But I am going to use this Physicians Formula Butter Glow powder. It's a little bit of a glowy finishing powder. And so it will set what I want to set, but it won't kill the glow. I'm going to just freely use this. And normally I run far away from the glow, but today I'm just embracing it in honor of the glorious spring day. I'm going to use the Maybelline Lash Sensational Mascara. I'm going to put on 2 coats and I'll be right back. Nothing left but lips and a story. For my lip liner, I'm using the Milani Color Statement Lip Liner in All Natural. So the first time I sat down to film this video, it went off the rails almost immediately. I got way too into it and completely lost the plot of what I was supposed to be doing. And then for my lipstick, I'm going to use the Ravi Beauty Effortless Lips in Lily. This is such a nice formula for spring and summer. It's lightweight, a little bit glossy, hydrating for your lips, and you can control how much tint you want. If you just swipe it on once or twice like that, you get a lighter coverage, and if you want more coverage, just go over it a few more times. And it smells good too. All of the products, of course, will be listed down below. I guess I just got into a groove or something. I should have set out all my products beforehand, but I didn't. And so I just grabbed a primer, and then I grabbed another primer, and then I grabbed my foundation and powder and bronzer and highlight and blush and eyeshadow and sparkle. And before you knew it, I had a really pretty look that was about as unminimal as you can get. But the happy accident part of this is, if you happen to be a glam girly who loves all the steps and all the sparkle, that video is coming for you next week. So make sure you're subscribed and your notifications are turned on so you don't miss it. But for today, this is my spring minimal makeup refresh. What do you think? I really like it, and I think it was easy and quick, and I hope you like it too. I can hear the birds chirping outside my window, so if you got this far, then please drop me a bird emoji down in the comments. I appreciate every single one of you who watches the entire video and gets to this point. If you like minimal makeup, I'm going to put another video for you up here, but if you like glam, while you wait for next week's, I'll put one right here for you to watch. I hope you all have a beautiful, blessed day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.